Hey, Tiny T Prepper here again, coming to you from Tiny T, and I'm in the process here of planting a second pear tree. I had bought two when I bought these, but one in the pot had died before I got them in the ground, and so I had to buy a second one, and planting this just down in line here from the other pear tree, try to keep them close together so any pollination maybe helps fruit production. Now these are a little bit different from the bare root trees that I've planted, and these are in pots. This is like many of these other ones here. I don't know if I showed any videos on those, but same thing, a lot of the same principles apply. You want to dig a hole that's bigger than the pot that it comes in. That gives some place for loosens up that soil around the plant, so when you plant it in there, those roots will start out and have some soil that's looser and help them to expand a little bit right away. I could even dig this bigger. You know, the bigger it is, the better it is. It promotes that to grow out a little bit farther, but you don't necessarily want to go to all that work if you don't need to. I've also dug this deeper than what I need to, and I'll fill that actually back in underneath that dirt ball there, and that gives the roots a place to go down then too. That soil is pretty packed if it hasn't been dug out for several years, you know. A lot of cases for many years, and so you want to dig that because it's pretty well compacted and makes it a little bit harder for those roots to get a start out into it. So you want to loosen up that dirt and then fill it back in. I'll fill that back in to raise that top of that soil that goes around the base of that tree. I'll raise it up even with the top of it. And so you can on these when you take them out to put them in there, some people will cut away the plastic on it. I like to kind of keep these pots to replant things in if I need to at some time for a future greenhouse up here at Tiny T. So I always save these pots if I can, and you can usually just kind of work those, pull them out of there as long as the root ball the roots haven't grown outside the pot too much. You can pull that out of there, coax it out pretty easily, and save that pot. So that's generally what I tend to do. I do have a post on here, and I'll keep that here till the ground kind of settles, usually a year. This one, that doesn't seem to be as tall post in there, support post, so I may take that out a little bit sooner and maybe replace it with something else if I need to. So anyway, I'm going to get that out of the pot and get it in there and just kind of fill it up part way and show you how that is when I get it up there level. So this is planting a tree that has a root ball on it that comes in the pot. It's not like the bare root. You could it's actually a good practice. I've done this with several before that I planted. Haven't done it with any up here, haven't really needed to, but you can get some root starter and just spread it around the outside of that hole there before you fill it in with dirt, and that helps get those roots off to a good start. So these aren't like the bare root ones that are a little bit more sensitive to the fertilizer. So these type you can mulch and fertilize. Just don't over fertilize them, but you can fertilize these to begin with. So anyway, I'll get that out and come back to you when I get it a little bit farther along here. Okay, the wind's pretty still here, so I set that in there. Didn't put any dirt around it yet to support it, but I want to show you a little bit about what I do here with it. Those roots tend to circle up around when they're in a pot like that, so they tend not to stay in that way a little bit longer, but you can get in here and kind of break out roots, free those up a little bit before you actually start filling that in. It'll help to free those up a little bit. So I tend to do that around them, then fill up around here. I actually had to fill that in at probably about a third, maybe a little bit more, the hole, because I'd taken quite a bit of dirt out and it wasn't as tall as what I thought it was, that root ball in there. But you can see I got that level here with the side of the dirt here going across, and that's what you want to achieve on that. This will probably sink down a little bit, so I might even lift that up just a little bit more and then fill it on in a little bit. So anyway, one thing to show you there is kind of dig that out around the roots, and that'll help it with that growing and keep it from it doesn't know it's out of the pot here right away sometimes at first, so you can get those from that are circling around in there to get them going out into the hole a little bit. You can kind of pry those with your fingers a little bit, just break that away with a little dirt there. Okay, got all the dirt back in there, and you kind of notice I piled up some of the clods that were left over around there. I have a feeling that'll sink down. I didn't stomp that down or compact it down. I just put it in there, kind of loose the soil. Hopefully I read on there that helps. Read on the internet and saw some videos saying don't stomp it down. It makes it a little bit freer for the roots. It'll compact down by itself if it needs to. I did make sure there weren't a bunch of gaps in there, so I was careful to break down big clods and stuff like that when I was filling the hole. But I did have the layer of grass there with the roots left around, and so I just piled it over there so they'll rot away eventually. Just on some of the other ones, they rot away, and I just kind of spread that out in a little bit as it decomposes the grass in it, and there ain't near as much there as what it looks like. Just the grass and roots make it look like. But when those rot away, there's very little dirt that's in there, and I can just spread that out then with a rake or something as it does. It doesn't take too long, a month or so, and plus this, by piling up here, gets it out of the way of the mower when I have to mow. So, and it keeps it around the tree, kind of keep the weeds there down around the tree too for a little bit, and kind of helps with that. So gonna get that stake pushed down there, and it should be good. Got a little bit of lean to it, but it should straighten up on its own there. The base of it's straight. It's just when it was growing, it grew a little bit crooked out of the pot for some reason. So, but we'll get that straightened around, and it should be good to go. And hopefully, it'll leaf out here probably this spring. I gotta get some water it here. You put 5-gallon water bucket and fill up the hole with that. That'll help that sink down a little bit too, and some of that will be a little bit lower, that ridge around there. So anyway, I'll get it watered, and this should be good for this one. And that's a pear tree planted to be a pair with the other pear tree, pun intended. Y'all take care. Tiny T out. I want to make sure I catalog the species of this tree, even though I know it's a pear tree. We can get in here close, that way, month or tomorrow, so when you get old you start getting forgetful. I wanted to make sure I got the kind here of what this is in case I ever want to go back to refer to it. So anyway, that's the type of tree that we planted here, and that was the second one down from the line.